In 2007, Oakland International High School opened with the support of the International's Network for Public Schools. With the help of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the network of 12 schools here in California and in New York have gone on to help 4,000 students a year who've immigrated from some 90 countries. The new book, I Am Home, tells the stories of 60 such students from Oakland International High School. Happy today to be joined this morning by Lauren Markham from Oakland International High School and Rachel Neumann, editor of the new book, I Am Home. Thank you for joining me both.
Thank you for having us.
There is a lot of political talk about immigration, immigrant and migrant families. This book tends to stay away from that, though it is coming from one viewpoint. Can you explain the reason for that?
The reason we created the book in the first place is because we thought a lot of the people who were making these decisions on immigration policy weren't looking in the eyes of the people who were being most affected by those decisions. And after volunteering at Oakland International High School and meeting those students face to face, I thought they need to tell their own stories, and people need to see how they experience the policies that are affecting them.
And we not only read their words, but we see their faces. And I was delighted to learn that these pictures were taken at the school library, at recess. Why are these somewhat informal portraits?
I think something that I love about knowing our students so well, something I love about this book is that it really captures the teenage spirit of these students, and it transcends the labels of migrant or refugee or immigrant, right? That these are just teenagers in their element, hanging out with their friends. They're beautiful, they're dynamic, and they're people first and foremost, and immigrants second.
There are a number of sentiments that keep popping up in this book as I read all the children's stories. You know, on a lighter note, many of them refer to the food they had back home versus the food they have now. I'll highlight one story from Rafael Ernesto Barrios Molina. He writes, "When you say home, I think of the smell of fresh bread." Food is such a connection for so many of us. We see it again and again.
I think one of the stories that most struck me was this woman, teenager Anna, who said, "Home is where I'm most needed, and preferably there's pizza." So it showed that both, like, they have this experience of home as this very sophisticated idea of, like, everything that they know, family and a place where they're safe, and then also it'd be nice if there was pizza.
Right. And you know, you see these students, you know, wearing Gap sweatshirts and referencing very, what we consider American things. You also hear that they have very difficult, very mature concerns. I was struck by the story of Bayan Al-Rawas from Syria, who writes, "I try not to imagine our home in Syria because I think it is destroyed already." Some of these boys and girls don't have a home.
Yeah, many of these young people came as refugees, or they were forced out of their homes, either by war or by political persecution or by force of circumstances like poverty or environmental concerns. And so they really are juggling these very teenage preoccupations of pizza and, you know, relationships and friendships and soccer practice and homework, and these very adult preoccupations of deep loss and deep trauma.
So much of what they're saying strikes me as very adult, but then I remind myself, they just got their driver's license. They're kids. They want to go out on a Saturday. One story from Sarah, also known as Yusei from Thailand. She writes, "I don't know where my home is." She says, "I haven't found it yet." They have a lifetime ahead of them.
Exactly. And that's a really interesting point, too, because so many of our students and many migrants have actually, this isn't just the first place that they're coming. They've been to many different places, right? So Yusei grew up in a refugee camp in Thailand, but she's originally from Burma. So she's never been to the place that her family calls home. And so there's a real disjointment there of identity, even though she has this really strong, deep identity and sense of who she is.
Lauren, what's the talk at the school about the book?
They have not seen it yet. This is, so I am taking this to them right now. They have seen the galleys, and the students are thrilled. They hear that I'm bringing this to them today, and they are just over the moon.
Very good. And then, Rachel, what do you hope to accomplish through this book?
My hope is that anyone who is making decisions or thinking about immigration will be also listening to the stories of the people most affected by it, and that is these teenagers.
Have you sent this to your local or federal lawmakers?
We will be sending it to local and federal lawmakers, and the students themselves will be speaking at events in Berkeley and Oakland to promote the book, and we hope we'll be traveling around the country and talking to people directly.
Okay, very good. Well, as the students are about to see this later today, I want to get this book in your hands as well. The book is called I Am Home, Portraits of Immigrant Teenagers. The book launch is Wednesday, September 12th at 7 p.m. It's being held at Mrs. Dalloway's bookstore here in Oakland. All proceeds go to benefit Oakland International High School. Lauren Markham and Rachel Neumann, thank you both for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, and congratulations.